So, hello everyone. Today we will be talking to one of the speakers of Blockchain and Bitcoin Conference Berlin, a Canadian blockchain entrepreneur, founder of Minespider, Nathan Williams. Currently, Nathan lives and works in Berlin. He co-hosts the Analysis in Chains podcast and the Blockchain Unpacked meetup, bringing understanding of blockchain projects to non-technician audiences. Nathan also advises the German Startups Association on blockchain projects. In 2017, Nathan founded Minespider, a blockchain solution for tracking conflict-free minerals. Hello, Nathan. Glad to welcome you.
Thank you for having me on the interview.
For the start, tell us please, how did you come up with the idea of Minespider, and where is the project now?
Okay, so like any of the supply chain projects, we are still in the development phase. So Minespider essentially got started because I have a background in the chemicals industry. Okay, so my previous project, I had an online system for checking the regulatory status of chemicals under the EU REACH regulation. And so we would get data on all the different chemicals as it was updated and send out alerts to our customers when any new information came for the chemicals they were using. And I was looking after that on different ways of applying emerging technologies, so machine learning and blockchain especially, into this industry. And because a lot of the people who were in the chemical regulations industry were also dealing with conflict minerals, because in the big companies, this is all in the product stewardship departments, so dealing with responsible supply chains and regulations and that sort of thing. It seemed like a big problem that blockchain could apply to, that I could solve. So I began it at the beginning of last year, researching, interviewing many people who were in the industry, looking at the specific problems that needed addressing.
And tell us please about your team. Who created the project and what kind of experience and background do these people have?
So we've got 6 people on the team. We've got 3 developers, including Nazim Faour, who is currently building the project, and his background is as a research engineer in the Waves platform, and he's got his master's degree in blockchain. He did his master's thesis in blockchain voting systems at the University of Aleppo in Syria back in 2015. And my co-founder, Nathan Felsenfeld, is our COO, and there's me, the blockchain entrepreneur. We've got Daniel, who's our user interface and graphic design person. We've got Madge, who's another developer and working on this. And it's an amazing team.
Great. Nathan, minerals are mined in violation of human rights in many African countries today, and in particular child labor is used in the Congo. Will your product solve this problem, and in what way?
I look at it, I hope to solve this problem, absolutely. But what I'm looking for specifically is how can we improve the participation? How can we see an improvement for what's going on today? So, for example, right now, one of the issues is that all of the companies that are sourcing from the Congo and from Central Africa, they have to do due diligence and make sure that there's no slavery, no child labor. But the problem is that that's very expensive to do. And the people that end up paying for it are the mines, the people who are the most vulnerable in the supply chain, so the poorest miners in these rural areas. And so then they get the same price for their minerals as if they had not done this. They get the same price as a company in Canada. And then the thing is, someone might come up to them and say, "Whoa, sell to me, I'll give you a 30% money laundering bonus." And so there's a negative incentive to participate in the legal due diligent systems. And so by creating a positive incentive, by making a blockchain token that's it's almost like a separate item that they can then sell It allows them essentially to sell their data up the supply chain to the people who benefit from it and who use it, who are like the Apples and the Samsungs and the Googles and the big companies that want to have this data to protect their brand image. And so by doing that, you get more and more people participating. And the more people that participate, the less room there is for armed groups that are financing their human rights abuse and using human rights abuses to finance their operations.
Nathan, and do you monitor other projects in this field? And what differentiates Minespider?
So, obviously, this has been a problem for many years. The Dodd-Frank Act and the OECD guidelines for how to do due diligence and go and make sure that your minerals are conflict-free have been around for a number of years. The thing is that there are still problems with them, because minerals like gold and cobalt and tin and tantalum and tungsten are not uniquely identifiable. And so using this modern technology, where we can create these certificates that are a lot more flexible than paper certificates, and they are immutable, they're unchangeable, and so we have this record of everyone who held them, and they're self-sovereign. So that means that the people that generate the data still own their data and can sell it. Essentially, by doing this, it provides an exponential improvement over the existing methods. And of course, a lot of people are attempting to do supply chain tracking. Most of the ones we encountered are large companies that have people that are using blockchain to do the traceability from the beginning. However, there's still the problem of the costs getting put on the mines instead of the cost being paid for by the company that benefits from the data. And that's what really sets us apart.
Nathan, you're an advisor for blockchain projects in the German Startups Association. How did you get such a wide knowledge in this field?
A lot of work. Essentially, I wanted to meet as many people as possible in the blockchain scene when I started this project. And so I did a lot of research onto different blockchain projects, and I've been involved with the German Startups Association for the past 5 years. When I first moved to Berlin, my first job was with the German Startups Association, and I helped them organize a series of events. And even though I'm not working for them now, I've stayed talking with them, and as I've built my own companies. And I often will help them with events that go on, such as Startup Camp Berlin that happens every year. I'm helping organize a blockchain event in that. And when I moved into this blockchain space and met so many people who were in the blockchain scene, and I started the podcast and started interviewing all of the people, that gave me an access to knowledge and to that section of the startups industry that I could then advise the Startups Association on.
Nathan, and which projects that you consulted had the craziest ideas? Could you share?
Craziest ideas?
Yeah, the craziest ones.
Oh, let me think. That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think I think some of them are still in stealth mode, but one of them had the idea of doing an ICO for a restaurant, and that looks really exciting. So it would be the future of food, but then you do an ICO to so that people can trade access to the restaurant and to this amazing event that. And so the price would go up as more people wanted to join, but there were limited seats, and so that seemed like a crazy idea. I mean, I've advised a couple of less crazy ideas. So I'm advising for a company that's doing blockchain to track chemicals. I'm advising on a blockchain venture capital fund called JWC Ventures, and Yeah, but I just talked to everyone, and I think the craziest projects that I've seen, I wouldn't say I've advised on them, but I mean, there are a lot of crazy projects that I've seen that have been really interesting. I think the most newsworthy one that has been talked about recently, I haven't spoken to them directly, but it's just a fascinating project, is the CryptoKitties. So
Oh, I
basically,
have heard about it.
of course you have. They were huge,
Hmm.
and they sold CryptoKitties for like $20,000, and it's a unique collectible item, but it's just a digital picture of a cat.
Yeah, sounds funny, really. Nathan, what are the most common mistakes that startups make when preparing for the ICO?
Not spending enough time in doing their token planning, not getting enough people on their team who know what they're doing, so moving too quickly, because I mean it is an exciting space, and everyone wants to move quickly to not miss out on this ICO hype, and I think that's completely legitimate. People totally should move fast, but at the same time, making sure that they've got a solid project and that they've done enough thinking as to how it will actually work.
Nathan, you will be talking about the impact of blockchain on the work of supply chains at Blockchain and Bitcoin Conference Berlin. And what can the distributed ledger change in the existing models, and for which industry is the issue most relevant?
Oh, all of them. So that's the thing. Like when we're talking about supply chain, we're talking about elimination of inefficiencies, like extra middlemen that don't need to be there, that add no value, and now you can actually map out who is in the supply chain and who is adding value. You can change incentives, so like I'm doing with responsible sourcing participation, but I mean there's all sorts of interesting incentives that you can do. Some supply chains, you want to have chain of custody, so you want to know everyone who's held this. In other supply chains, you need quick settlements. So, I met one company and interviewed them. They're very ambitious, and they're working on a settlement token where you can, if you have bitcoins, for example, you can borrow against the bitcoin, and then use that new crypto that you borrowed to pay immediately your suppliers, which is amazing because right now it takes something like 3 to 6 months to get payment from when you've supplied somebody like a big company. And that means that over an entire supply chain, it's ridiculous the amount of finance costs that get added. So there's that. There's even just knowing where your products come from, which companies have contributed to that. The list goes on. Even something, I talked to one company where you have waste products and they had to transport them, but the thing is the waste product was used as a raw material for another process, so they needed to get it to another country. But to transport it, they needed signatures and permits from 6 different countries along the way. And even blockchain, if you had immutable records, you could have all of the people along the way sign off very quickly. And instead of 6 months or 6 weeks, it takes 6 minutes, and then you have all the permits, and you can drive the raw materials where you need them to go.
So that's a great speed up for the process.
No, absolutely. I mean, everything that blockchain does can be done in another way. However, blockchain and tokens add efficiency, they add liquidity, they add they disrupt because they do these processes in a more effective way.
Nathan, thanks a lot for your time. It was a great pleasure talking to you. And
Thank you very much, Anna.
And for our listeners, if you want to learn more about the role of blockchain in supply chains and ask Nathan Williams questions, please come to Blockchain and Bitcoin Conference Berlin on April the 4th and bye for now.
Bye for now.